Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. More ranked today, and this ranked gameplay is a bit different in the sense that I had a voice whispering in my ear throughout. This ranked gameplay, and unfortunately I didn't record the live segment of it, it's just the replay. It's against Corporal Max E. Mon, and as I was playing this, Wiktor, my ranked coach, if you will, was coming on. And he said, hey, if you stream the game, I can give you some tips. So that's exactly what I did. And he told me what units to place where, how to go for the maximum effect, and how to defend a flank that I'm not really doing that much with. The plan here on Mudfight is to try and get this town. This town is one of the most critical components of this map, as I have recently learned. Because if you control this, you can control, to a large extent, what the enemy does in Alpha, what the enemy does in Delta. That means that you control about 2/3 of the map. Foxtrot, while being a pretty large zone, is not easy to hide a command zone or a command vehicle into, much like Delta. But this can be pretty easily countered, Foxtrot, with a very, very small skeleton crew of a force. So this area usually does not require too much. I'm once again using my Baltic front deck, and with that I have the units that you might have already seen in previous gameplay as well. I keep sticking to one deck to make sure that I really intimately get familiar with the units, because if I keep switching from one deck to another, I never really get the feel for any of them. Of course, you could make the counter argument that by not going with another deck, for example a Eurocorps motorized or a Eurocorps general, by not doing that, I'm making it a bit more difficult on myself because I don't strictly know what their tactics are. But as long as I can use my own deck, my Baltic deck, properly, that should be fine. Now the plan here is to rush that town, so I have KTs to do that. I also have an XA-180 with Eric's, Sokol and an Alouette. That's the biggest force on that flank. Middle is going to be covered by an Eric's and a KRKK, which is transporting an AGGM infantry. Over on the right, T-55M. No NTR, nothing. The base, of course, we have a FOB. ITO 90 going somewhere towards the middle, but as I was later told, nope, don't put it over there, put it towards the left, because that's where you might need it. If I had put it over here and moved it forward there, and the enemy had come in with helicopters, it would have been pretty painful, because I would not have had an answer. Also bringing in a Talak 84 to make sure I can smoke up my approach. And not just my approach, but also my two T-72 M2 Wilks. Over on the right, again, not much is happening. So the plan, just hold this, push here. That's the main plan. Oh, and I'm holding two KTs here steady as defensive forces. I should have offloaded them a long time ago, but I was very heavily paying attention to what was happening over there. And these guys, with their autocannons, can also, in a pinch, defend against a helo rush. Limited effect, but it's better than nothing. So the Sokol and the Alouette dash forward, where they are about to encounter a bunch of Jupiters, Martyrs, and VTTs. Now this is pretty significant, the fact that he's using Martyrs and M113s and VTTs. They are mechanized. That makes them slower on road. And because of that, I have the ability to arrive sooner. The Sokol manages to kill off the reconnaissance, or at least the transport. The BGS survive. Time to beat her hasty retreat, as there is a Roland on the way. I really do not want that Roland close to my forces. So, the Sokol retreats, Alouette hovering low, and I take control of the buildings. So my Yekeri 90 are over there. I got the ITO standing by, and I have my mortar sitting over there, waiting to provide smoke support to the Wilks. He's doing the same thing. The Leopard is already being smoked up, and he has both a Leopard 2A4 and a reconnaissance Leopard. He's backing up those units with the Roland. He has the infantry, which are moving towards Alpha, so not towards the building here. Slight mistake, I should have brought an ATGM. One ATGM would have made a lot of difference, as it would have presented a bigger threat to the tank over there. Nevertheless, with two T-72s, I can overkill, or I can outshoot a Leopard 2A4. Especially because this thing is going to start panicking faster. My damage output is potentially not as high per shot, with 20 AP versus the Leopard. I was actually, no, I do more damage. These 120 pointers do more damage than the Leopard, but they have less armor. The Leopard's crippled, it will not be attacking anymore, but my T-72 has also taken a beating. The other one is fully functional, so time to retreat and make sure I get these things fixed up. Not a moment too soon that I bring in the smokescreen for the Wilks, because a Peace Rhine just flew over and was trying to kill. Second Peace Rhine also spawned in, and this means that he does not have a lot of points for ground forces. So fortunately, with the smokescreen in position, the Peace Rhines do not have any targets, and both of the Peace Rhines die. This means that he might not have any more Peace Rhines. He might be out, but you can have 4 of them in a deck. Got a bit too aggressive with the KTs over here. I was trying to kill the Roland so that I had a much easier time doing airstrikes or helicopter attacks with my own here. The KT manages to kill it, and then I don't really have a vision on the Martyr, so I don't really have an option there. Right flank, 1 T-55, and this is where the other offensive is going to come in the form of a 2A5, which gets side shot by the Spike over there. And for some reason he keeps going, and he gets hit again. He's down to 1 health. Probably desperately trying to get out of range. He's retreating the tank, but presenting a slight side profile, and there goes the 2A5. I didn't even see that during the game. I'm only seeing it now that I'm realizing, oh crap, I actually killed a 2A5. So well done to this HEGM team over there. And that means that this offensive is dead in the water. It has no autocannons, it has recon, it has anti-air, but it has no tank. So the T-55 should be safe, and the KT over there with infantry can hold the line. At this point, I was told, basically, just chill. Just don't do that much. Wiktor said, you have control of the situation. He spawned in a couple of planes that you shot down. His tank is dead in the water. His offensive over there is crushed. In essence, I have full control of the map at this point. Well, not full control of the map, but control of the situation. He can, however, keep pushing into Alpha. If he does that, he's going to run potentially into the Sokol, which at short range, the Panzergrenadier and the Jaeger will win. But for now, it's perfectly fine. I did make a mistake here. I pushed out the Wilk too far. Fortunately, it didn't cost me anything, but that was a bit risky. And he's now using his 2 mortars to shell my position here. Again, I was not really paying attention. I was just very heavily focused over there. So I didn't even see that over here we had a problem. But fortunately, the HEGM team does not take a scratch. Now, with most of his NTR dead, I can dash forward. I find the Leopard, which is being repaired. The KT spots the BGS, so the T-72 can take that out. And that further blinds his position. Of course, there's still the BGS over there. KT tries to do some damage. Doesn't really do that much with the rocket pods. And much to my favor, the HEGM infantry there, the Mistral, is not in a favorable position to fire. HEGM Helo is being brought in. And this is a perfect opportunity for me to smoke the Wilk and fall the hell back before this thing gets killed off by the 105. We also got more HGM coming in and Gepard A1. Unfortunately, my KT crashes after the Mistral does get a couple of shots at it. And it's time to pull the Wilk back because HGMs are approaching and the Helo is approaching. I didn't see the HGM, but I did see the Helo, and I was not going to stick around and wait for that thing to show up. So for now, I have captured Foxtrot. He is bringing in a command for Charlie, so we're going to go neutral there again. The battle here is mostly reinforcing this side, making sure that I have better control over Delta. I have my tank, and it's being repaired. The other tank is also almost fully repaired, and I'm trying to bring in some forces over here, waiting for more control of the sector before I bring in a command unit. Sokol's going back home after expanding all of its rocket pod ammunition, and the battle over here, well, if you want to call it a battle, is pretty quiet. Jaeger find the Panzergrenadier. Panzergrenadier win. I did not push up with fire support, and that was a mistake. If I'd had a KT over there, it would have ended potentially quite different for the Panzergrenadiers. Over on the right, there is movement from a Gazelle cannon, but it currently cannot really do that much. There is a ROM there to protect the T-55. Doesn't really need to be there, though. Not strictly. Now bringing in HGM infantry here to get further control of this sector. The Erics are in a position to also provide anti-air support with their Igla, so any helo that flies over might have a rough day. And this will also allow me to bring in a command unit for Delta eventually. Not a priority just yet. I first want to get better control of the situation. Now I saw that the Jaeger were pushing into the woods here. I think something got killed by the Jaeger. And because of that I send in a group of Spado and also keep their Mi-17 standing by. Those rocket pods are fantastic. Especially when you want to get rid of a bunch of infantry very quickly. You let the Spado engage and then the Mi-17 kills. Yekeri 90 getting detected by the Panzergrenadiers and they're opening up on each other. Again, unfortunately, no fire support. Bad move. MiG-29 circling for no particular reason here. I should have pulled that thing out. Bringing in more BTR-50s with more infantry. It is just a bunch of Jaeger, as you can see now. I did not know that at the time. I did not know how much he had. Shelling the position of the Panzergrenadiers, as they are definitely going to be murdering the Yekeri 90 over there. And over here, the Spado are indeed engaging the Jaeger. And the Mi-17 is trying to get a shot, but there is a pretty dense foliage over there. So the Mi-17 is struggling a little bit, and instead elects to kill the Panzergrenadiers. And just see how weak the guy is over here. He has 10 Panzergrenadiers there, 12 Jaeger there, and that is it. That is the extent of his forces. At this point, Wiktor was recommending that I bring in a command infantry for Delta, and here it is. The command infantry in position, waiting to get walked into the zone, and over here, not a command unit on the way just yet. Over on the right, he has reinforced his position so that I cannot really push, but I really wasn't planning on that. I still have my HEGMs in case anything decides to pop out. Of course, if it pops out under cover of smoke, the HEGMs are going to have a particularly harder time of it. Spado is still trying to kill the Jaeger, and the Mi-17 once again decides to pitch in, killing one Jaeger squad. One Jaeger operator survives, and the Spado immediately wipe it out. So almost full control of the sector. At least there are almost no units surviving here. Again, I'm being, well, I'm playing pretty laid back here. I got control. I don't need to push. I don't really have anywhere to be. It would be great if I could get a command unit into Alpha to negate his +1, but I already have that for Delta. And that means that I can pretty comfortably sit at my 20 points, bring in a command vehicle for Alpha, and make sure that I start ticking. This is the point, I think, where Wiktor said, hey, you can just bring in a bunch of stuff and start pushing his forces out. Because I have the Wilks. Both of the Wilks are standing by the fight. He has Panzergrenadiers. He has no anti-air, so I could even use a bit more air power. Although I did not know where the enemy was at the time. Panzergrenadier 90 already being pulled back after losing their transport. The command vehicle right on the edge of the sector, defended by one squad of Panzergrenadiers. The Mi-17 still has a little bit left, but even with 6 of those rockets it can still deliver a hell of a blow. I just need a target. Arguably, I could have blind fired this position here because it's a fairly safe bet, although it could have been in this side of the woods as well. So, a bit of a mistake here. Pushing forward with the Wilks too far without waiting for infantry support. See, that was the last salvo from the Mi-17. Immediately kills 8 guys. Too close with the Wilks. I smoke them up. The Yekeri engage. The KRKK engage with a grenade launcher, but effectively gets murdered by the Panzergrenadiers. Too aggressive there. The 105 tries to get some damage in on the Wilks, but gets denied by a combination of the Ito and the Erics. Panzergrenadiers here in contact with my Yekeri. And over here we have more Yekeri, but I should have pushed those guys in. If I'm not pronouncing the Yekeri correctly, my bad. I'm not a Finnish native. Mi-17, after having been resupplied, comes back to join the fight. These helicopters are so good. You're only paying 30 points for them. They only have rocket pods and only 20 rockets in them. But they are fantastic at killing stuff. Now, as I'm pushing here, he is pushing on the other side. We got a Recon Leopard coming in, 2 of them in fact. There's a Kyler or 2, and a Roland is being brought in further back to try and cover the rest of the bunch. So I lose my KT over there. I still have the Yekari 90. I still have the T55. But this might be a little bit too much for the T55 to chew off. Or to chew through. BTR 50 surrounding the Panzer Grenadiers. They really do not have anywhere to go. The command unit has been killed off, so I'm at a +1. He, in the meanwhile, has brought in a command tank for the middle, and thereby is making sure that I only get a +1, not a +2. The T55 here, still holding position. This is when I start to react to what's going on here, and I bring in a duo of T55s. I'm not sure if I've already mentioned this, but I've recently learned that if you bring in stuff in duos, triples, or even quads, and then split them out later, it is faster than bringing them in single, because it just makes sure that these things spawn in together. So that's one of those little tidbits that I should have known for 7 years by now, but I've really only learned it just now. Anyway, shows you that even after playing a game for years and years and years, you can still learn a bunch about it. The Alouette spots the Recon Leopard. Both the Recon Leopard and the Kyler are lit up. And I'm trying to flank them with the T55. Also waiting for the other T55s to come in from there. With the 2 T55s coming in over here, I have a bit more of an opportunity. These things, of course, can fire from stealth, which means I have the advantage when it comes to recon for now. Kyler has, I think, a better gun. 15 AP versus 17 AP. I have 10 frontal armor, but you have 12. It kind of evens each other out. Instead, I'm trying to take shots at the Roland 3 that popped out, and the T55 is usually a very good shoot. A very good shot. It does 60% accuracy and it's sitting still, so it's at 75, 76, but it keeps missing. Again, but this was after it had actually taken some damage from the Kyler. Heavily damaged there. I push him with the KTs, but I do it too aggressively. The Kyler pops out and starts taking shots at the KTs. Effectively so. And it's the Leopard 1A1, I think, that gets the kill. So the KTs start losing. Not a great approach vector. I should have done a bit more over here and then through there. The T55M is capable of taking out the reconnaissance Leopard, leaving just the Kyler in a bit of a blind state, because it does not have good optics. This poor guy only has medium optics versus my very good optics and medium stealth. So he's going to be in a difficult spot to try and do damage. I try to bring in an Alouette, and the crippled Roland actually is able to get the kill on that. Even though panicked, it was able to get a hit and killing off the reconnaissance, but I still have plenty more of that. T55s now engage the Kyler again, dealing severe damage, and with that should be killing off the Kyler momentarily. Now over in the middle, not too much happening again, except for one big mistake. The T-72s, I was told, can now be retasked and moved from here, where I really don't longer need them, all the way over to Fox. I thought I told them to go back to here to fast move, fast move, fast move, and then use the road. But apparently I made a mistake, and the T-72s are instead moving right across through the open firing field of the Leopard 2A4. Mistake, and I pay for that. But fortunately, it's not terribly painful. I mean, sure, it's painful to watch. This was just a huge mistake on my part, and I recognize it too late. I start to reverse to make sure I don't take too much damage, prepare a smoke screen as quickly as I can, and get these tanks back to safety. It does, however, mean that the tanks here, the T-72s, are not going to be available for this flank just yet. In the meanwhile, here we encounter with our 40 Jaeger, yes, that was a quad stack. We encounter a bunch of transports and more Jaeger. Oh, sorry, my Yekari, not my Jaeger. Bringing in some more KTs. I think these are Panzeri that I was calling in. And I still have a little bit of a defensive line. But then again, I think he's not really focused here. I think he's focused on what's happening here. Because he also brought in a Leopard 2. Leopard 2 doing a little bit of dueling with the T-55. Both are beating retreat. The Seria comes in, kills off the Leopard. The Seria gets countered by both the Roland and the two F4s, but the F4s then get countered by my MiG-29s. So it's a bit of a trading back and forth. They lose a tank and a plane. I lost an HGM plane. I'm going to call that a win. 2 KTs pushing forward, and without any further fire support from a tank or a vehicle, the Panzer Grenadiers are in a terrible spot. KT pushing forward because I thought there might not be much left. There was, however, that Roland that I should have known about because it was part and partial to killing the Syria. Now drop off the Yekiri 90, pull the KT back, allowing the Panzer Grenadiers to fight it out with the Yekiri and then provide full suppression damage on them with the Bushmaster 2 from the KT. It's not that much that these guys can do. They can either fall back and get shot at, or they can stay there and start shooting back. So that's what they elect to do. Over here I'm going to try to find that command unit, because I would like it to get out of the way, allowing me to get another +2 instead of a +1. Over here a little bit of conflict with the transports that were bringing in the Jaeger, but there is still plenty between myself and the command vehicle. Oh, sorry, between them and my command vehicle. Yeah, the Panzer Grenadiers are down, but so are my Yekiri. I should have pushed. Now that I can see it, it's wide open. Unfortunately, no joy. The T-55 over here that was in the woods has been repaired, so this one can move. And over here we have an offensive... What blew up there? Kyler. Kyler got blown up by the HGM, so this guy really earned his keep. I push forward with the Eriks. I find the command tank. The Eriks, unfortunately, do find their own death in the field. And I believe that the HGM... No, it's not quite able to kill them just yet. Is he leaving? No. Whoops. In fact, he's moving forward. That's interesting, because he's moving kind of into the HGM range. I'm trying to get the spot on them, but of course a command tank... Not that easy to hide. It has its main gun turned off, but its machine gun turned on, so I shouldn't have to be too concerned about this thing getting opened, or for this thing to kill my HGMs. Again, a little bit of skirmish over there. Nothing too serious, and the Jaeger retreat after my Panzer Yekiri also start to intervene in that fight. Over here, doing much more of an offensive now. Well, a little bit more then. I got the KT, I got the T-55s pushing forward. I almost have full control of this sector now. I have a command vehicle in it for clarity, so yes, I have control. But I would like to get a bit more into these woods over here. And also try to kill off the command vehicle. But I have not gotten around to that. At this point, 18 minutes left, at least according to the game timer, but according to the replay timer, not nearly that much. Should have used another HGM vehicle over here, but I wasn't really... Damn it, my S key is not working. I wasn't really planning on pushing here. The Leopard 2A4 comes in, the Seria comes in as well, kills off the 2A4, and then all of a sudden there is not that much that they can push with. Just the two Leopard 1A2s. And over here, I think, is where he gives up. Not so much in Delta specifically, but at this point, because he's lost quite a few of his forces. He is not doing well for points, and I don't really see how he could be coming back from this. T-55 spots the BGS, although, no, actually the Eriks spot the BGS. And without the BGS, the Leopard 1A2s are blind. I don't really have too much to do against the T-55M. And there you go, he gives up. Total victory for me. Much credit goes to Wiktor for telling me exactly what to do and when to just be patient, which was pretty early in the match when I had taken control of that town. That town really decides where you can go and what you can do, at least depending on whether you have it or whether the enemy has it. In this case, I was lucky enough to get it early, and it is something that worked out really well. It really highlighted the importance of it, and I'm going to try and grab that town every single time that I get on this map. Alright, that concludes today's ranked gameplay. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments. And I hope that you guys will continue to join me on this journey of me improving in ranked. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon for more videos.